Good evening again, everybody. This is A. Michael Storm, the old Story Wizard 1948. Earlier today, it's still a minute till midnight, so earlier today, my composing partner in London, Andrew Penketh, sent me a very interesting video, which is now playing on my YouTube channel, which is Story Wizard 1948, and is also circulating around in various other areas, including on his channel, which is Andy's Original Songs on YouTube also. And it's a video of him demonstrating how he worked with the latest song for our musical play Unseen Angels, called Conversation Pieces. And it's a very interesting video. It gives you an insight into how a composer works with the lyrics and how he works with the song and gets it ready for demo and everything like that. And it's a really interesting video. But when he sent me the video, he also sent me a little challenge of sorts, and that was, he said, "Michael, why don't you do a video of where you explain what the inspiration was for your book for musical of the show Unseen Angel, and some of the insight into how you work with lyrics and everything." Now, this won't be as interesting or dynamic as watching Andy work, because you get to see him play the piano, and no, I'm not going to show you me typing. I don't think that would be any great interest to anybody. Andy's end of it is much more interesting and much more fun to watch on a video. But what I will do is give you some insight into exactly how I do work on things. First of all, I will tell you the fact that in essence, I have no idea where most of my inspiration comes from. In the sense that I know that it comes. I've heard many creative people talk about the muse or a muse bringing their inspiration. I heard a line that the late director John Huston told someone one time. He was sitting in his director's chair on the set of, I believe it was African Queen, but I'm not positive on that. But one of the actors came up to him and he said, "John, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm waiting for the muse to descend." In other words, he's waiting for the inspiration for what to do that day, for what scenes to shoot, or how to shoot the scenes, or exactly how to go about things. And I don't exactly do that. I don't sit around just waiting for the muse to descend. But I don't do like some people I've known who go and sit at the typewriter or sit at the keyboard 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day and work, no matter whether what they're working on works or not. What I tend to do is when something calls to me, when something comes to me, then I go work. At least that's what I do when I work on music and on lyrics and on the books for musicals and the ideas and everything for that. That's how I do that. I wait until something comes, and you never know what it's going to be. Sometimes it's spurred by just the least little thing. So that brings me around. That codicil brings me around to explaining what happened with Unseen Angels. I was thinking one evening of an old song. It's actually a hymn that many of you, if you grew up in Christian faith somewhere years ago, you probably have heard in your church one time or other. It's called Precious Memories. You also probably have heard it in other areas. I mean, it's a song that crossed over. It wasn't just a religious song. It was sung by a lot of different people years ago. I remember hearing it frequently when I was a child. But the words are precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. Now, when I was thinking of that, I came up with a title for a play called In the Stillness. And I'm still working on that somewhere along the line. I'm considering turning it into a musical play, like I have so many things. Like my producing partner Emmett Thrower says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're doing well with working with musicals and musical plays, so why stop now? Well, when I was thinking about the song, I went back and looked at the lyrics once again. Now, those lyrics were written by J.B.F. Wright, who supposedly maybe is a distant relative of mine. The Wright family was on my grandmother's side, and I'm supposedly related to a lot of people named Wright from the southern area of the country. But J.B.F. Wright wrote many hymns and many religious songs. Precious Memories is one of his most famous songs. And when I was going back, as I often do, I go and look at the lyrics and see how they were structured, and because I remember these songs from my childhood, but I don't always remember exactly every single word of the lyrics or how they were originally structured in lyrical form. And when I was looking at that, after I had started thinking about In the Stillness, I read verse number 1, which is Precious Memories, unseen angels, sent from somewhere to my soul, how they linger ever near me, and the sacred past unfold. And I thought, unseen angels. That's a interesting thought, because truly I believe that there are angels in life, or something that, many of us call angels. I believe they affect us in many ways. I think they come in different forms. They're unseen angels. They're angels that come to us in the form of people. I think we're given chances and opportunities every day. We often receive help or encouragement or direction from people, and how we deal with that help or that direction depends on what comes out of that experience for us. And when I started thinking about unseen angels, I started pondering it over more and more. And I thought about the fact that maybe in our lives, people that we have touched or that have touched our lives, who maybe are no longer with us, or actually are with us still in form of unseen angels, and they're actually there to maybe help our lives along, or maybe change some things in their makeup that happened to them in the past. And when I started thinking about that, I began to think about a storyline. And I've been working lately with a lot of storylines that can be good for a small number of cast. And I started thinking about the fact, what about a famous composer who's locked himself away somewhere and he's become a hermit because his lover died, his life partner died, and he feels guilty over his death, and he has locked himself away in a very very beautiful bed and breakfast that they had built together with all the money that he made on Broadway. He was a very famous Broadway composer and lyricist and playwright. And when his partner Lewis passed away from complications from AIDS, he felt so guilty about it because he himself has the HIV virus, but he's one of those rare people that doesn't get AIDS, doesn't suffer any great maladies from it, but he can pass it along. And he apparently passed it along to Lewis, and Lewis did get AIDS, and Lewis passed away. And he feels guilty, but he also still is the same cocky, somewhat abrasive, sarcastic person that he was in his career. And, he now spends his time locked away in this, what has become sort of a mausoleum, or as he likes to say, his prison. And what he doesn't realize is, or what he at least hasn't come to terms with yet, is that the spirit of Lewis is with him all the time. Lewis is the second character in the play. Of course, he never sees Lewis. The audience does, however, and Lewis's spirit is quite bitter with his old partner, and because of the fact that he did get AIDS from his lover, but at the same time he's bitter because he always felt neglected in the relationship. He felt like Sheldon, who is the famous composer, he felt like Sheldon was far more interested in his career and far more interested in writing and composing, and spent so much more time working than he ever did spend with him. So he didn't get everything out of the relationship he would like to have gotten. So that has become an issue for him in death now, because he couldn't change it in life, and now he has no way to change it in death. So the spirit of Lewis and what's left of Sheldon have locked themselves away at the Hollyhock Inn in upstate New York. And somewhat like George M. Cohan wrote one time, 45 minutes from Broadway. Well, it's a little more than 45 minutes from Broadway, except maybe on the train. And their lives have become lives of quiet desperation. Sheldon is haunted by many of the tunes that he wrote, and he's definitely haunted by one tune that he is currently trying to write. It comes to him all the time, and he plays it over and over again, but he can't seem to ever get the words out. And this theme runs through the whole thing. And this is how I structured all this. And then I thought, okay, something needs to happen to stir things. We can't just have a two-character play about, well, we could, I guess, about a man locked away from life and from his career, who's haunted by a ghost that he can't see. There are certain parameters for that, but I said something needs to happen. So what is going to happen? Well, I thought, okay, what if a young woman, who's going to be the third character of the show, comes to the inn looking for Sheldon Mars, the famous composer, and looking to find out what happened. What if she writes a blog column for an entertainment online blog in New York that is related to Broadway theater? And what if she comes to find out what happened to the great Sheldon Mars? There have been all kinds of rumors that Sheldon has died, or that he's is locked away at the Hollyhock Inn, and there have been people that have tried to contact him over the years, other people that have tried to interview him. So this young woman, Audrian, shows up